Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, life coach Myrna Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Ben Oosterveld. Ben is a business coach and real estate investor, and today we're going to be talking on the topic, how language affects our emotion. Welcome, Ben.
So great to be here. Thank you so much. I love that we're connecting. This is great.
Yes, thank you. Well, welcome. Yes, Ben is a fellow podcaster, so we should have a great, smooth conversation. Looking forward to it. All right, so let me give you guys a little bit more information on Ben. Ben says that he didn't have an easy start. He lived on the streets from age 14, survived a failed suicide attempt at age 15, and later spent 365 days in rehab. Ben's inner game needed work. He was a purebred people pleaser, manipulative and controlling, and always compared himself to others to the point of constant self-sabotage. Ben has since coached entrepreneurs and national companies. Previously, he built a real estate investment company that held 61 properties with investors in 4 different cities. After getting his real estate license, he built a multi-million-dollar real estate business with an award-winning top national team in 3 years. Today, Ben helps business owners get clear about who they really are and what they really want. He helps them make the right changes in their business and life with the goal of building a life they love. His focus is on coaching, speaking, and running personal growth retreats. Ben loves business, but his real obsession is helping people break free of the old patterns that hold them back in life. The inner game is everything to him, and he is on a mission to find his tribe, one extraordinary person at a time. I love it. Now, before we got online, Ben tells me that he's no longer a realtor, a real estate investor. He's a full-time coach now. But that bio was just his intro into how we can build a business and how we can help you build your business by what he says, concentrating on personal growth. So Ben, I love your bio. And, if you can tell our listeners your journey into changing your inner game. And you're saying that you had a rough start. So maybe you can bridge that and how, why did you have a rough start? Maybe why you were suicidal and bridge the gap for us and how you went from there to here.
Sure. We'll go with Cole's notes real quick. I'll give some context. Grew up in a tough childhood. I had good parents, but my dad was not in a place to be a parent. He got his own backstory that shaped him. And I started running away from home when I was 12 and I lived on the streets. Very industrious kid. I would steal and I would find places to sleep and get into a little bit of crime, and just honestly just got into drugs, alcohol, found a place of acceptance. I never felt accepted. So I found a place of acceptance and I got really good at doing drugs and as a young kid, but every day just hating who I was every single day. And I think everyone in the world has the same kind of DNA at some level. There's a piece of you that looks in the mirror and go, I don't like that. And mine was just on hyperdrive. And so I went through that, ended up trying to commit suicide. They threw me in a psychiatric ward. I broke out of the psychiatric ward as a kid and I was on the news. My parents saw me in the news. It was a pretty crazy story, but there's lots of stories within all these stories. But I went to a place called Teen Challenge. I went to a 365-day rehab center. My plan was I was gonna give this one last try, and I went, and that helped me. That helped me a lot. And then I went into the world. I got into sales. I got into selling. I found a thing, but what's interesting, my backstory was still haunting me a lot. My dad was a salesman, so it's just ironic that I got into sales. I desperately wanted his approval and his love, thinking that was the missing hole in my life, thinking that was the actual hole that I needed to fill was based around my father relationship. And it wasn't. It was a relationship with myself. I didn't realize that till later. And I figured, we got to work on this relationship with my dad. And he was really interested in me when I was doing things that he was interested in. And it was really interesting. So I built a performance mentality and a people pleasing mentality where I felt loved when I worked hard. So became a workaholic. My dad was a salesman and a financial planner. I became a salesman, which is just, you look back and you're like, it's pretty ironic. I would have denied it then, but not just the salesman, I became number one at everything I ever did. So I had this weird drive that if I wasn't number one, I was nothing. I had this huge gap between happiness. Happiness was always based in my performance and what other people would say about me. And I knew I could control what other people would say. If I just become number one, I get lots of good things my way. Very simple. But that was my backstory still haunting me. It cost me a lot in my marriage, in my relationship with my kids for years. Today, I'm still married. I've got an amazing relationship with my wife and kids. Something we work on still, but there was times where I would just chase and chase and chase and chase. Sold $2.5 million of office furniture. I became a real estate investor, and the first year or so I bought 41 properties and ended up, building a real estate investment company. I ended up coaching. We changed the investment company when the crash happened. That was a pretty huge hit in my psychology because I was always winning. And I didn't know what it was like to not win. I cried at my desk. I went through a lot, and I hired a life coach, and I hired someone. I thought he was a business coach. His name was Philip McKernan, and worked with him for 8 years. And he was first guy to challenge me. I was a very strong person. I could tell myself stories, and I could convince you and me of these stories. And I think, again, all of us have that DNA to this day. And a lot of the work I do is calling people out on their stories that they think are true. And a lot of times we just got to identify some self-awareness around these people that are going, oh, I'm this. I'm like, are you? And so a lot of it is a challenge. I think a great life coach and a great business coach is someone willing to, speak truth, even though we're not going to make them happy. I think that's a huge thing that happened to me. Long story short, I did very well in coaching and marketing and sales. And I started coaching real estate agents. And I realized this is a massive hole. And I said, if I ever became an agent, I would win the game. And not just cocky. I just realized there was, like, everyone's teaching sales, but no one's teaching how to keep a client for 20 years. And that's called relationship coaching. And there's none. And there's a mentality of a salesman. If you're a good salesman, you'll do good in real estate, but that's not true. You'll do good until you burn out. So I started really identifying some major things, and I really niched out in real estate to help the real estate industry. And I thought, what would it be like if I actually became an agent and a coach, and I would literally show the agents how to do it. So I convinced like 12 agents to coach with me. And I said, I'm going to really kill this. I'm going to destroy it. It's not going to be hard. I know how to do it, but I'm going to do it alongside you. And it was the weirdest coaching program. I said, only one group of people are ever going to see this. And I became rookie of the year. My first year, I did over 80 sales. Wow. But I also hired an assistant within my first 3 weeks because I was a businessman. Like, why would you buy a restaurant and try to cook and serve? The entire basis of industry. I coach agents all over the country, and I realize it's the thinking that's the problem. And they think they can keep selling and selling and selling, but they forget that you could build a referral base every single year, bigger and bigger and bigger. Eventually, if you did 1,000 deals in your lifetime and you have a 10% referral rate, you'd have 100 sales every single year without even spending $1 in marketing. So no one's playing the long game. So I coach now in helping agents put in the right systems so they can buy back their time, because a business is, if you're a salesman, you got to grind it out. But if you're a business owner, what you're doing is designing your company to serve the life that you want. The question is, what the hell do you want? And that's where I'm black belt, because I can help people uncover what they want. And now we create that. Then we say, how much does that cost? Cool. So you only need 200 grand a year to have the life you want when you thought you needed 1 million. So we do a lot of work regarding the inner game and figuring out what they want. Most people don't know. And so my journey has been this weird, I'm just obsessed with human behavior psychology because I was broken and I hated myself. So I tried to fix myself along the way. And when the inner game really changed, it's been many, many lessons. We could talk for long. I'm sure we could share stories. But the thing is, though, the biggest one happened the last, say, 3 years for me. Like, I've done well. I've been doing this for years now. But the thing is, I got to a place where I would see something in my life and I said, I want to fix it. Okay. I want to fix it. People pleasing, manipulative, anger, whatever you can choose, like anxiety. And I look at it and I say, I don't want that in me.
What's up, y'all? I'm Percy Miller, Master P. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, simply have a product or service that you sell, then listen up. If you have under 20 employees and suffer a reduction in your income due to the pandemic, then you are eligible to receive $5,000 in marketing assistance. To boost your business with Westwood Marketing Group. To get started, text the word pandemic, PANDEMIC, to 833-942-5960.
So now I'm going to use my skill of attacking and my builder skill, which is like, let's figure out how to get it done. So I would study and try to attack these ailments that I had that I didn't like. And I've done, all it was I'd fix them and find more, fix more and find more. And I realized, that's when I realized,
Wow.
like I know a lot of knowledge and I can help a lot of people, but I realized I was digging myself into a hole of unsatisfied anxiety, depression, hatred through the personal growth movement, because I just found that I was still broken. Then he goes into judgment and says, I should feel better. I'm doing all these personal growth and affirmations and all this stuff, but it was judgment because I didn't feel better. I felt like I could get through stuff, but I would find more things and more things in me that needed to be fixed. So the fixer and the builder just led me to more fixing and builder. And what I realized is self-acceptance is enlightenment. And so when I realized I'm a broken man, yes, I do yell at my kids once in a while. Yes, I'm not the best husband once in a while. Yes, I do have spelling errors. Yes, I do drop the F-bomb sometimes. Yes, yes, yes. And guess what though? I'm winning today. I have way more peace of mind. I can go out there in my broken state and crush. And as a business owner mentality, you hire out the areas that you're not good at. So I'm dyslexic, ADD. I'm lucky. I'm so lucky because I had to figure out, I still wanted to win the game. So I had to get people to help me. And that's when I accidentally realized, holy crap, that's how you build a business, is you don't do it, you just direct it. And so that's a real mix mash of my back end story and some philosophy all jammed into one.
Yeah, you got so many nuggets in there. I got to remember which ones I want to circle back to. Okay. All right. Let me test my memory here. So, all right. So the first one is that you talked about wanting to please your dad, and because you wanted to please your dad, you turned into a high achiever. So you didn't say that, but I recognized the signs of someone that's a higher achiever, because you said you became number one at everything. You had this drive, you had this worth ethic. And I always have to bring in my conversations the book that I'm reading right now, or I heard something on a podcast, and right now I'm listening to Will Smith's book.
Oh, and cool.
He had a father like that, a father that beat his mom and was a drill sergeant and expected. He says, "Well, I'm the only one in charge. If two people in charge, you're gonna die." That kind of mentality, and that built his worth ethic. You know what I mean? And he branched on to have some more skills from what his father. But his father was the foundation of his knowledge and who he become. Of course, his father, his mom, his grandmother. But your father, because of that relationship with your father, it drove you into a personality. And then you talked about, one of the things I love what you say, because I also told you before we started, got on the air, that I'm also a realtor. But I'm one of these people that I guess my father taught me to do everything yourself. That was my lesson, I guess.
That's school. You're not taught to cheat. I would cheat the whole time, and I'd get the highest grades if I cheated, but I'd be punished. But in business, I cheat the whole way through. That's literally what you do. You find someone that knows it and tell them to do the answer. So the whole entire society is completely against entrepreneurship.
Right. But yeah, so, but that was a good nugget when you said about how you build a real estate business. You hire an assistant right away. And a lot of people wouldn't understand that, because we know in real estate, I interviewed a guy a couple of months ago on the air, and he became a top commercial realtor. in San Francisco. And he was talking that for the first 2 years, he didn't get a paycheck because, of course, he was working on the big deals or whatever.
Yeah.
So we know as realtors, when you come in, you don't always go get the 10 deals a month. You get a little bit of money and you're not thinking of hiring someone with that. But you said you went in and immediately hired someone because you understood.
Well, I was
principles.
planning to be successful. Are you planning to fail?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah, that's a good tagline too. You know, don't plan to fail. You know, set your business up as.
Well, I genuinely knew that if I'm going to get, like, if you're planning not to get busy, think about that energy.
Yep. Right.
So, but you definitely have to do the right things.
A lot of 99% of the realtors are not going to hire an assistant. The people that have assistants is the successful ones already. You know what I mean? Once they're there. Yeah. So your concept is beautiful. And, you know, I like that. So, all right.
You know what it is? When I'm dealing with hiring an assistant, it's my secret way to get to find out where you psychologically create emotional friction. So watch this. Hey, why don't you hire an assistant? Well, I don't have money, time. I don't know what to do. Hold on. That's all emotional friction. Let me change your thinking. So the people on the show right now that have a business or anything, I'll just do it really quickly. Can you afford $20 a week? Well, of course you can. So what we need to do is not go to the black belt hire. I got to get you to hire at white belt, because I need you to get a psychological win, because for you to become a CEO or a boss, the learning curve is way too high. But if I can get someone to manage your birthday system, to make sure that you send a birthday every single time and you hire a birthday person, which I call project hiring, not hiring. It's project hiring. So you can practice being a boss, and the cost is $20, 1 hour a week. And so I get people to go, let's start crawling before we're running. But everyone wants to jump to running, and it triggers all of their limiting mindset, their inner beliefs, their poverty spirit, all the different. And now I got to deal with a psychological massive storm just so I can get them to execute. So I start with the baby step and go, let's get you a win. So your brain believes that you can do this, because right now you're not hiring because you believe you're going to not do this. So we need to shift the inner game, the inner thinking. So this will hire $20 a week. If I came into your business and said, I'm here to help you for pay you for free 2 hours a week. Could you have something for me to do? Of course you could. And I would recommend focusing everything on that person's time, on how can you keep a client for 20 years, not how to get a new one.
Yeah, that's good. You've got good stuff. Like I said, I can identify because I'm also a realtor and I'm not doing any of this stuff you're talking about.
join my Facebook group, the Richest Real Estate Agent. And I'm going to be starting to do some training every Thursday. So it's freebies. And then you can kind of get to know my world. It's the only mindset first real estate coaching in the world. And that's where I'm all in on. It's called the Richest Real Estate Agent Facebook group.
Okay. I love that. I will definitely join that. Yeah. But, you know, in my defense, you know, I focus a lot in my podcast, and, you know, real estate is just a byproduct. But so, yeah, you know, I don't really focus it in anymore. Now I'm doing 2 shows a week on the podcast. So it's taking up more of my time.
Yeah.
But
you got to figure out what you want. And that's the biggest thing, right? You got to figure out what you want. That's the biggest thing. What do you really want? Yeah. And that's how you design the life.
Yeah. So that's basically, you're right. That's what I want. Real estate is there as a support. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, when you're, you know, you're saying that when you're building a business, you're doing it for free until you get to a certain level, but you do need some kind of financial support while you're building, right? And that's where real estate has always fit in for me, you know, my financial support. So what I'm doing now.
For sure.
All right.
For sure.
So I love that. So yes, this inner game that you talk about is, so explain what you mean by the inner game. You know, I'm understanding it to be the game that you put together. Like, is it like a playbook? Is that what we're calling it?
So everyone, it's like, once you're clear on what you want, what's in your way? It's always you.
Okay.
So when we talk about that, so what I like to say is it's the relationship with yourself. That's the inner game. So when you wake up in the morning, how do you feel? So with emotional intelligence, like, how do you feel? Like, I'll give you an example. It's let's talk people pleasers. So if you're a people pleaser So I think it's an extremely selfish person is a people pleaser. And I can speak about it because I got the Medal of Honor on it. And so here's the thing. Watch this, okay? So let's play this game, and for the listeners and even ourselves here, if someone says something like this, you let me down. Like if you could really take a second, close your eyes and think about how that would make you feel. Someone that mattered, okay? Someone that mattered, because people pleasers only please the people that matter. So if you think about
pretty bad. I would feel pretty bad. I would feel that I let you down. And since I'm a caring person, that would bother me. If you know, if I say that to, I think everybody actually, I was just going to think of certain kids that don't care or don't give a damn. You know, like if your father has said that to you when you were, you know, out in the streets, then maybe you wouldn't have cared. But most people care when somebody say you let
and
me
if
down.
we have so what happens is this, as children, we're saying, don't cry. You skin your knee, you say, hey, you're strong, don't feel. And what they do is distract you from any negative emotions. And so it's like, if I get angry as a child, they're saying, don't get angry. That's not nice. So we start having a problem. Our relationship with our emotions are so screwed up that we're only allowed to be happy. That's bullshit, that's BS. And so what I'm saying is this, a people pleaser, you have this internal energy, this chaos, this I don't like this feeling that I get when someone lets me down. By the way, I can manipulate anybody with that right now. All I got to do is say, you let me down, and I can pull the strings on people. That's manipulation. So if you just be very careful, everyone wants to be an independent man, independent woman. Great. So if you're a people pleaser, super easy to be controlled. FYI, that's how you give your power away. Second thing is this. With people pleasing, if you are people pleasing, you act as if it's about the other person. And it's such a lie, because all I want is that feeling to go away. So I got to make sure you're not upset with me. That has nothing to do with the person. It's all about making sure I don't feel those emotions, because it makes me feel bad. So who are you really pleasing? Yourself. And then in a relationship, how do you like when someone says, I'm doing something for you, but they're not? They're using you. So really, as a people pleaser, you use people. No wonder there's no real deep connection. No wonder you feel after helping so many people, you sit back and go, no one appreciates me. Well, yeah, it was bullshit. You're not even, you're pleasing yourself. Sometimes being uncomfortable is how you serve the other person. I do it all the time as a coach. I say things to people and it's so uncomfortable. They're going to hate me. They're going to fire me. If I could not sit with that negative emotion, they would not be free.
That's true. That's true.
So I get excited about this. I was a people pleaser for so long. And I hope that people can connect that if they're actually pleasing someone to make their emotion feel better, it is not pleasing that person. It's self-motivated. And that is someone you can't trust. Because someone that's a people pleaser will do whatever it takes to give me whatever I want so they feel better.
That's true. That's a different way of looking at it. That's a different spin. That's great, because I would look at a people pleaser as, you're right, they don't want to feel that they're disappointing anybody, and they're trying to buy affection by pleasing somebody. But I wouldn't have never thought of it like what you said about it's a selfish, because they're already thinking of making themselves feel better, you know. So that's a different spin on it, you know. I come on and I talk to people, a lot of people that are people pleasers, because they don't have the self-esteem, you know, to stand up for themselves or to make decisions based on, you know, based on their needs. They're basically just pleasing someone so that they're focusing on the other person's needs. But now that you're saying, even though they're trying to please that other person, they're only doing it so that they can feel better.
You don't want to feel that.
Those double-edged sword things.
if you're a people pleaser, you control your environment. The safest place to be is to make everybody happy. So it's a controller as well. So you can control everybody by being nice. Okay. Right. I'm not saying that you don't be nice. It's the heart of it. And only you know. That's the thing. So you can have two different people that are serving other people and being kind. One is serving themselves. One is being authentic. One is confident. One is insecure, because you're trying to control your external environment so you can create peace on your internal environment. So you're using everyone around you. They have to be a certain way so you feel good.
Right. Right.
But if we can get to the place where we feel good on the inside, the moment you wake up, you look in the mirror and say, yeah, I have flaws, but I still love myself. I do have a lot of value. If you can get to that place, then you will not need to please people. And when you do please them, it's pure.
Yeah.
And it lands at an energetic state where it's called love. That's why we're so lonely, because we're pleasing each other, but we're not loving each other.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like an automatic, fake kind of pleasing. All right.
It's fair though, right? It's fair. It's not a judgment. Like if I was to do the dishes for my wife because I wanted her to be happy, or I do the dishes because I just desperately love her, what one's going to land better?
The love, of course. Yes.
They both look the same from the outside.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I love that. So I guess that's why you say that you shouldn't trust the people pleaser, because they're only in it to make themselves feel better. Is that the reason?
I would say it wouldn't be so absolute, because I think a lot of people pleasers are beautiful human beings. But I think when you have a bit of insecurity and fear and trauma, and you don't have that total self-belief yet, you're gonna have someone try to please you. The best thing we can do is give them permission in a way to be like, it's okay, you don't have to. I still love you. And so it's not like they're bad people. It's just really looking at it and getting honest with ourselves and say, you know what, by the way, I'm still a people pleaser, but I'm willing to risk the relationship for honesty.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to be uncomfortable
that's
so they
become
can be
parts
free.
of your personality, right? So you really can't change that much. Yeah. And that's another thing I wanted to circle back to. You talked about when you tried to attack all the things that you figured that was wrong with you, found more things. And that's obviously because, everything that you're attacking was linked to the ego. And once the ego is in place, then all those things is going to be there. Right. Did you find that?
I'm not really a big teacher on ego. I think personally, I think we're human. I think the reality is that the spiritual journey of your self exploration and your spiritual journey would be the more you find wholeness, the more you see how far you are. And so there's that it's almost like if I was a monk sitting here, that's what I would say. I'd be like, well, just so you know, like I picture that moment where you're sitting there and you're like, the more you become more self-aware, the more you don't know. For example, like when you're new in business, you think you know it all until you go stand beside a guy that's got $100 million company. It's just the same thing. It's just the more you know what you don't know. It's just practical. Right, and so when I say, hey, you start drilling down as a human, I start realizing, like even today, I realized, I have this belief of find my tribe. I have a t-shirt that says, let my life tell the story. I have another t-shirt that I give my inner tribe that says, I believe in me, and all these things. But what I realized in the next level for me, I've never shared this anywhere else. This is the freshest new thing. I realized that beautiful part of me becoming independent and believing in myself have isolated me from people that aren't my tribe. So this is next level for me, going, oh, self-accepting, and I have to realize there's relationships that could hurt me. Could I go into those relationships knowing that there might be a personal threat to my trauma or history? And so I'm on a journey right now to say, who can I put in my life that isn't perfectly aligned to me, but I'm there? Because I'm like, they might remind me of old Ben or whatever it is. I realize I isolated myself, but now the personal journey isn't about fixing things. I don't need to fix nothing. It's like an adventure. What else in my life? And here's the thing, where do I get triggered is my first place I look. Where do I react? Where do I get triggered? Those are the best places to find, because those are unlocks. The personal growth journey is painful at first, but then it becomes extremely fun, because then you get unlock. So it's just understanding that that's a journey that will never be finished.
Yeah, I like it. So, all right. So how did the psychological languages fit into that? You teach that there are 16 psychological languages, and we're talking about languages and emotions as far as the title of this show. So bridge that. How does, you know, the inner game and the language and the people pleasing, how does that fit into growth?
Yeah, so I think the theory is we have a both left and right hand, okay? We both have a left and right hand. And are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
Right-handed. Okay, so am I. So I'm right-handed, but the thing is though, so we're born with 16 personality types. We all are the same human. There are 16 through the study of 100 years of psychology. There's 16 combinations of personality. And so, but the thing is though, we prefer a left or right hand. And that's what personality is. So when we say that's just my personality, no, you're all personalities. You just haven't visited, say, the organizing person. You're more the wing it person, or you're more the detailed person. You're more this. So this is years and years of studying humans, is understanding myself as being my obsession. And now I understand other people. Like, I'll give you an example. Let's just do a practical example on a language, understanding human language. So let's say that, you know, when you're a real estate agent and you go into the house and you get that, I call them the a-hole clients. Okay. Like you right away, because I'm what I call a feeling type. So empathy first. And so I walk into what is called the logical mind. This is 50% of society are logical first. Remember, they still have empathy. It doesn't show up till later though. It's a sequence thing. So if I'm dealing with a logical person, let's say I'm brand new agent, like, and I sit down and like, so how long you been in the business? I'm thinking, who says that? What if I'm brand new? You know, I'm going to feel terrible. You're the guy, you hammer me with one of these questions.
You might lie, right?
Then you lie through your teeth. And so here's the thing. I look at a guy like that. And so speaking his language, he has the balls to hit me with that. That is a test on my credibility. Okay, we have to understand, if we can stop being so self-centered and observe how people talk to us, understand it. Here's some tactical training. Okay, the guy calls me and goes, "Hey, how long you been in business?" I say, "Well, you have to hit him with a sarcastic hit, and you got to be direct, or you'll lose the guy's credibility." That's understanding his language. So I would say, you know what? I've only been in the business under a year, and I might not be your guy. Like, it's cocky a little bit, and you got to be like, and then I'd say to him, I'd say, "Sir, but I do know someone for you. Her name's Betty. She has a walker. You're going to have to pick her up, but she's got 60 years on me for experience. And if that's how you're going to choose, I can give her your number right now." And then guess what he says? "I like this guy. I want to hire him." Because sarcastic is the language of the logical, but then later they become loyal. So
you're obviously pretty confident to do that too. That's pretty good. I like that.
But then if it's a little old lady,
would either flounder or lie.
Well, because they don't understand.
I have listing presentations where they do exactly that. How long have you been in business? How many of these have you sold? You know what I mean?
In my course, I teach the psychology, all the languages. And when someone teaches sales training, I think it's manipulative. What I do is, it's like, I look at human connection. Like, do you speak any other language other than English?
No.
Okay. So let's imagine I'm a white guy. Okay. I run into an Asian fellow and he wants to buy a property, and I bust out Mandarin as a white guy. Okay. I start speaking in Mandarin. It's so quickly that he could choose me instantly, because it's chosen by connection, not by. So if I can get to the place, the single goal is this, man, he gets me. If we can, that's all we care about in real estate training. It's you get the client to the point where you say, wow, he really gets me. Because guess why? How many people really get us? Truly.
Right. Not very people. But you're right.
Some
One of my first sales training thing is building rapport. So that's the same thing you're talking about, building that connection, however you build it. But that's it. Right.
So there's building connection and rapport through tactics or authenticity. And then one is rich, like people pleasing. One is real. Like, if I really understand you, I'll probably find out what makes you tick. What's your nostalgic value? What I think of when I meet a client, I think, anyways, I'm going into other things, but think about the languages. Is another example of language is if you're a sensing person versus intuitional. So I'm intuitional. 25% of society is intuitional like me, means I see the big picture first, and then I do the building blocks. But the problem is that's opposite That's opposite to a sensing person who needs all the building blocks so they can see the big picture. So if I give a big picture, they're going to go, who is this guy? So that's what people would be like, detailed people or whatever. My wife and I have had, before I figured this out and learned this, we fought constantly. And it was always on this area, because this dichotomy is where we choose to trust people.
Okay.
It's where we trust people. So in how you actually lay out the information will help them decide if they trust you or not. And so if you start with do you see the potential of this home? And if you do that to a sensing type, they're going to be like, he doesn't get me.
It's true.
So this isn't mirroring, building rapport. This is truly at a psychological level, making a connection. Because if it was someone that was the potential guy and you walk in and go, look at the potential, he's like, I see it too. You get it. You see what I see. And then if it's a sensing person, you walk in and be like, hey, there's probably going to be, like there's a lot of things that need to be changed. You got to change this, change this, change this. This is the process. Here's the timeline. Here's this. But after that, do you think you can see the potential? Oh yeah. Same conversation, but it's a sequence thing. This is 20 years of me learning this stuff. And I'm still just scratching the surface. But the psychological language is understanding, how they make decisions is a section, how they organize their life, the type of information they want and trust. And you combine that together, and that's the thing. But everyone has every language. It's just ones they prefer.
Right.
That's a little tactical there.
You're saying some stuff that that I can vouch for. That is pretty good. Now, I've gone into real estate sales training where they give you this objection list, right?
Yeah.
If they say this, you say this, and it's bullcrap, because you become a puppet, or you want to put a people pleaser, or whatever you want to put it. But if you understand their psychological language that you're talking about, like if the person said to you, how long you've been in business, where he's coming from. If someone says, because that's right. That's why there is a guy in my agency that only sell to people from his country, right? Because he's building on the connection part of it, right?
That's connection.
He's building on the connection part, and we all know that. If you're Haitian and you go and you connect with the Haitians, or if you're Chinese, that's who you're going to sell to.
Yeah.
So that part we understand. But what you're saying is you can connect on different levels if you understand the 16 psychological languages and know which one is being thrown at you. That's good stuff.
Totally. And what's cool about it, the biggest side effect is, so that's good for business. The reason why I love it so much is it lowers judgment. So when you understand that when someone is talking to you in maybe a little bit too sarcastic or aggressive way, you understand that it's not personal. And so now what happens is I don't judge them as a-holes. I judge them as logical minds. See the difference? And so what happens is also understanding your process, because self-awareness, and you can be yourself, but if you're trying to be a detailed person and you're not, you're going to hate your life. If you're trying to be an extrovert and you're an introvert, you're going to hate your life. There's so if you're an accountant and you should actually be a salesperson, you're going to hate your life. This is life. You need to figure out who you are and fit the life that's designed for you. If you're an elephant, own the elephant, don't freaking fly. It's just, that's where this is. I use this stuff for more personal human development, because once you know who you are, you want to find confidence. Confidence trumps everything. Self-awareness trumps everything. Connection trumps everything. Like a lady that I just signed up to my program, she was from New York, and she says to me, she goes, I was looking at hiring a sales trainer, but someone says, you got to talk to you, Ben. I said, yeah. I said, but I can teach you sales. I know everything about sales training, but I can help you. That'll help you about 5 or 10%. I said, why are you not making those lead gen calls? You spent 12 grand last year and you didn't make a sale on those. This is not a sales training conversation. I said, she goes, well, I'm scared of kind of that rejection that happens on these calls. Now we're getting somewhere. You don't need sales training. I said, you need inner growth training. And I said, here's the question. What would happen if you could get rid of the fear of rejection or learn how to have a relationship with it? I said, what would happen to your business? She goes, I would double. I said, how much did you make last year? She goes, 300 grand. I said, so what you're saying is we can solve the objection. We don't need objection training. We need help on the feeling rejected training. If we can trade that, she makes 300 grand a year. In 10 years, I just got her $3 million.
Yeah.
Or we can learn what are the 3 objections to asking about your commissions. No one's going to ask those questions if they value you. And if you value
Yeah.
yourself, no one asks objection questions because they know your value. So it's an inner game, directly affects your income.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's awesome. All right. Yeah. So tell us about your podcast. And your podcast is called The Inner Game. And also you said that you have a mission to build your tribe. So tell us about that.
For sure. So I had the podcast is actually it was called. So I have a podcast called From Within. That's probably what you're referring to. The thing is, I'm not doing that one anymore. That one's got 100 episodes. And we're all in on bringing mindset and personal growth and business mindset versus worker mindset to real estate. And so I'm focused 100% at that. My podcast is called The Richest Real Estate Agent.
Oh,
and so that probably wasn't on my little bio sheet I sent you, but that's okay. Not your fault. That's mine. The only other thing is, so I have a book coming out called The Richest Real Estate Agent, How to Build a 7-Figure Business Without Sacrificing Your Relationships. And that's the mindset. It's the first mindset book for real estate agents with full tactical training. Never, ever once has it been combined. So that's what it is. And so we're going to be going after the inner game for real estate agents. And that's our focus. And so that's the book, the podcast, and our group is all The Richest Real Estate Agent. And so I also run personal growth retreats I do that once a year for people that want to bring out their teams or whatever. And I take them on a 3-day kind of off grid or adventure retreats. And that's like 3 days. I can't even compare to the effectiveness of what 3 days away on one of my retreats does for the head and the heart. But but benoosterveld.com it's all there.
Oh, right. Yes. So, right. So it's Ben OOSTERVLD.com for anybody that's, that's listening. So that's on your website. Then of course you'll have the links to your Facebook group and also
podcast
information
and
on
my
your
coaching
retreats.
Yeah. And our coaching program is called the Real Estate Reboot Camp. And we put you through an entire reboot on your mindset, all your business systems. We provide weekly coaching. We provide power workrooms. You get 200 pages of everything you need to put together all your real estate. And we create massive accountability in coaching. People are getting ridiculous results on not just on money. We don't celebrate money in my group. We celebrate actions taken and the life that you want to build. So I got a guy who owns a brokerage on Royal LePage. And he now takes 3 months a year building. He works out of his cabin. I got another guy that took a month off to take care of his baby when he had a baby. Now that's what's worth celebrating. So what life do you want to live? And what are the actions needed to be taken? Oh, by the way, you'll make a lot of money.
Well, yeah, money is always a byproduct, right?
Byproduct, for sure.
That is great. Listen, I can personally vouch that you know what you're talking about. So that is great. And you're also passionate about it too. And you've also walked the walk. You were a real estate agent. So you understand the business. So it's always great. My office loves Mike Ferry. And, Mike Ferry would come on. I'm sure you know him. Yep. He was supposed to be the biggest real estate, coach. But just listening to you for, 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I know that you get results because you even though he talks about Mike Ferry talks about mindset and training or whatever, the inner game, if you want to call it it's pretty good understanding.
You can't compare getting a level up in your confidence versus level up in your objection training. Which one do you choose? You know what I say? I say it's just a hands down. Why does some people walk into the business and win without all that training? There's something else going on. We got to get the Ben magic. What's her name? Myrna, right. The Myrna magic. It's like, where's the Myrna magic? Because that's like that trump card. It's like you hit them with the Myrna magic, and then they're like, "I'll do whatever. Let's go." Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. No training on that. That's an inner game. That's the magnetism of you.
But the beautiful thing about it is that it would also transcend into your personal life. It'll transcend to
100%.
Like you said that you and your wife don't fight anymore. I think that's what you said. But
like 80% less fights. If anyone says they don't fight, I am calling BS. Anyways.
Less fighting. But
less fighting. It directly affected my marriage, my relationship with my kids. Yes. Because if we don't learn it, like if you think about it, we're in a relationship game. Why are we, and if we suck at home, but we're good with our clients, you're not good in relationships. You're good at performing and doing sales. Like there's a real, if you want to play the long game, how does someone stay with you for 20 years? Dating is real estate agents. Marriage is the long game. Like you got to realize that it goes from the dating is what everyone's focusing on. I think if we started focus on, you know, the metaphor marriage with our clients, every bit of your systems change, your behavior changes. If you got to stay with someone for 20 years, it's not just the first impression that matters.
Right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Awesome. Well, Ben, this has been an excellent interview. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your knowledge and your passion. I love talking to passionate people. You know, we came out of the gate
Let's go.
with passion and excitement, and I love that. I love that. Yes, and of course, you're talking my language because you know I'm also a realtor. Like I told you, I've been a realtor for 20 years. But yeah,
transformation and real estate, you don't see those things together too much. So that's cool.
What was that?
You don't see transformational human development mixed with real estate too much. So that's pretty cool. We definitely connect on that.
Well, thank you. Yeah. You know, I was a real estate agent and then I start on my journey. You used the word enlightenment. I started my spiritual growth and that fulfilled me more than being a real estate agent. So I continued to work on that growth and that spiritual enlightenment. And then I became a life coach and now I'm on the radio. But I still kept my license and I still do real estate. Like I said, it is the funding part of me, you know. Yes. But and of course I enjoy people. So when I'm working with people, I still enjoy what I do because everything is all, you know, talking with people, helping people, you know, honoring your word. It's all built into the same thing. So that's great. But yeah, I can tell that you, and I will definitely join your group because yes, I still want to make money at real estate.
It's way easier than people make it. People choose a really hard way to build a real estate business. And they just think that 99 hours a week, never, ever, like, it just doesn't make sense. It's just, let's not be salespeople. Let's be business owners is the huge mental shift that needs to happen in the entire industry.
It is. It is. I tell you, that's true. All right, Ben. So that's awesome. So for you, for anyone that's listening or watching us on TV, I would have a transcript of my conversation with Ben on the show page, which is blog.myhelps.us. And on there, I would also link out to his website and to his Facebook group. I myself are going to join his Facebook group, and that Facebook group is called the Richest Real Estate Agent, correct? That's what it's called? Richest
Real Estate Agents, yeah.
Yeah, Richest Real Estate Agent. Okay, awesome. All right, Ben, it's phenomenal talking to you. Sorry, I want to thank you definitely for coming on. Good luck with your new podcast, which is also called the Richest Real Estate Agent. I hope that our listeners, whether they're realtors or whether they're in business and just want to understand the psychological languages for business, and would definitely start following Ben and connecting with him so that you can learn. Like he said, what he's teaching is transferable. It's transferable to any business. It's also transferable to your personal life and personal growth. That's basically what we are talking about on this show. So before we wrap up, any last words, Ben?
Sounds like you just wrapped it up super nice. So that's just thanks for letting me come on here and be myself and jam with you for a while. It's great.
Yes, that was good jamming. I enjoyed it. All right, guys. So we're fresh out of time. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life. If you've not done so already, please rate and review us on iTunes so that we can reach a larger audience. Once again, thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, namaste.